Hello and welcome to the Happy Tans podcast. On today's episode, we have Stacey Fike from Glow Girl Tanning in Houston, Texas. How are you doing, Stacey?
I am doing just peachy. Thank you, Grant.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited. I know you reached out before. I'm glad we were able to connect. I'm sorry for not getting on this sooner, but I'm glad you did. You sent me a little bit of your story. We've chatted beforehand. I've researched you. You got a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge that you can share with people. I think everybody's going to take a lot away from this. So thanks so much for joining us. I'd love to give you a minute or two to kind of introduce yourself, take us back, how you got here to where you are today, at a high level, and then we'll definitely dive into some individual things that you bring up.
For sure. Yeah. Just listening to all of your podcasts in the past. I think all of us in this industry kind of have a similar background. It's kind of like a side
Mm,
hustle, little added income, and then it just kind of organically grows into something. My background started at Spa Nordstrom. My original licensing was in massage therapy. And I was working for Spa Nordstrom. They actually got me trained 20 something years ago. It was very new
mm,
service to offer in the spa salon, arena. Um, and little by little, I started realizing there was a very select clientele in Houston at Spa Nordstrom that wanted to be tan, but didn't necessarily want people to know that they went and got a tan. So those clients at that time started asking me to come to their homes, and that's really how I began as an in-home service. Um, fast forward through the organic process of growing my business. Mobile Tans as a single mom is it's time consuming and it's a lot
mm,
of work. And the type of profits that I needed to, maintain my home, my household, and it just wasn't the right fit for me. Like a lot of the women I know, they would convert a room in their home, which is what I did. I still kept the 9 to 5 job, and on the side, I was hustling doing tans. At one point, I had kind of looked at how many clients had come through my home, and it was like 700 women. Like they were referrals upon referrals on referrals. And I was like, I can't do this out of my house anymore. Like if there's a safety issue at that point.
yeah.
So I was lucky enough that a local hair salon had a little room in the back of their salon to rent. So I rented the room. And at that point, when I was like in another business establishment, is when I started kind of using social media and marketing a little more. It wasn't just referrals of referrals. And then I kind of outgrew that space. And now I'm in my own brick and mortar. We've got 3 tanning rooms, 4 employees. There's always retail now, product line. So yeah, it's just, over the last 10-ish years, it just kind of organically grew and grew, which is the story for a lot of women across the nation that are doing in the beauty industry.
Yeah. So how far into the doing it through your home did you get introduced to the room opportunity?
I probably ran it out of my house for 12 to 14 months.
Okay.
It didn't take long. Like, I'm in a big city, so word of mouth travels fast. And it was pretty quick that I was having close to 1,000 people come through my home. So it was a little bit easier, a little more comfortable to move into a space and pay a rent. I wasn't losing a
Mhm.
lot of overhead at that point. Um, yeah, but I mean, it moved fast. And, back then, that was 10, 15 years ago, there weren't a lot of spray tanners. Somebody maybe have had a friend that could do it, but there weren't like businesses per se that were offering spray tan.
Yeah.
So on some aspects, I feel like, oh, I was a little bit of a pioneer back then.
I mean, definitely. I mean, it's 20 something years ago getting introduced to it. There was not many options back then for sure. So,
R-
yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. And then once
I've seen the
you,
industry change a lot. Like I think about like back then, 20 years ago, the solutions were thick and goopy. They
mm,
did stink. They did look orange. Like the industry has come, it makes my job a lot easier because the industry has come a long way.
right. Yeah, a lot has changed. I mean, I've been in it since 2011, so 14 years. It's definitely a lot changed. There's a lot of options out there. You can find any kind of product you want, the cleanest one, the this and that, and the alcohol based, not alcohol. There's so many
Yeah,
options. Absolutely. So when you
absolutely.
how long were you renting the room, did you say, before you decided to open your own brick and mortar? And how long have you been in that brick and mortar?
So I rented a room for 3-ish years.
Mm.
Um, and again, still gracefully was building a business. Didn't know anything about social media, but was just out there doing it because what are you
Mhm.
going to do? I don't have like a big advertising budget. You got to use the free marketing sources.
Yep, absolutely.
So 3 years renting a room and then moved into my brick and mortar, and we've been there. We're going on year 6 now.
Okay, wow. And obviously there's some growth there. You said 4 employees, so that's something to be said because everybody knows. I think that initial step of hiring the first person is the biggest. It probably becomes easier after that, but the first time you kind of have to replace yourself essentially and tell your clients you're not coming to Stacy anymore, right? You're going to whoever else is there. That's a big transition. I think you can probably
Yeah.
relate.
It's hard because, your clients, especially because I'd been doing it for so long, people got used to me. And I really made it a point that every person that we hire, I'm a stickler for systems. We all do everything the same way. And I have to explain it to my employees because I'm
Mhm.
such a stickler on these systems and everybody does everything the same way, same timing, same movement. Um, I say to these girls, like, I'm not trying to take away from your artistic ability to do this job. But I don't ever want a client to come in and say, well, so and so didn't do it like this. I don't want anybody to be able to say that because I know you did it the way we all do it. Like it's a safety for my employees too that I
Right.
am so regimented with those systems. It's a win-win for both the customers and my girls.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I want to be able to always support my employees. I don't want anybody to say anything bad about them or about their service or their consistency. Yeah, it just, and I think customers appreciate that they can come whenever and they can see whatever, and they're always going to get the same service, the same tan. Um,
Mm.
yeah, it's just that consistency, that
Yeah.
stability and systems.
Yeah. I think it's necessary for any business to grow. But I mean, I think one of the challenging things it's great that you've been able to accomplish that is that, you think of like a McDonald's, right? Or In-N-Out Burger. They have this one system that works. But I mean, you're dealing with like there's not many options. There's not this free flow of like the artistic ability, like you said with tanning. So it's, I mean, props to your team as well for being able to stick to that because I'm sure it's could be easy as I could do it this way. It'd be so much easier, so much quicker, so much better, whatever that is. And
Right,
maybe
right.
you allow for the back and forth or you guys meet and talk about it. But it's great that you've been able to do that because then you can actually replicate that and then you could replicate it and replicate it and replicate it.
And it's easier to like if an employee comes to me and is like, "Hey, I don't think this is working right." It's easier for me to implement or try something new because we already have the systems in place.
Right.
And it's easier to be more open to those changes and those improvements when you already have a base,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's great. So you a lot of growth over the last few years and now you're here in Houston. So you got a big nice area to be in. I think it's a good geographically, all that adds up. That matters for sure. We've seen that time and time again. People got to be it's kind of a you're fortunate to have the demographic and the geographic area that you have. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of, like you said, it grew organically so much because there's just so many people there, and there's a lot of people that want to tan. So that's great. So over these past 10 plus years in business and whatnot, what has been the most challenging moment that you've had so far?
Um, I think in every industry that you come across, the hardest thing is people.
Mm,
Um, not only do I want to have a great staff, but I also want to have great customers. Um, and yeah, people is always the hardest thing because you can't please everybody all the time.
mhm,
But I do fall when it comes to dealing with people, both professionally and personally, because you're in an intimate situation when you're doing spray tanning. So there
mhm,
is a level of personal experience that you're sharing. And I give kudos to Nordstrom. They really have, if you're a Nordstrom shopper, that their customer service is some of the best in retail that you will
mm,
ever experience. And all of those little things that they taught me, I share those with my staff.
Mm.
Just because it's a happier environment, it's a nicer environment for everybody involved if we can just keep everything customer centric.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the best thing that Nordstrom taught you about being like putting the customer first? Like what is the best takeaway that you took from that?
I think some of the things that like one of the best things is that personalized experience.
Mm,
Little things like, our girls do all this. Like when you meet a customer, you're going to say their name a minimum of 3 times during their appointment. A minimum. Like I want them to know that you know them. You're paying attention to them. One of the things when I was at Nordstrom that set me apart is I would keep notes on all my clients. Massage clients, you may not see them for a month to 6 weeks. Tan people, you're going to see them every week. So you might remember some of the things that they're sharing.
yeah.
But I would keep notes on everybody. And the nice part is with the software that we use, our booking software, you have the option to keep track of those notes.
Yeah.
So you can put in there, she's getting married in April, or she's going on vacation, or she just lost her job, or whatever.
Yeah.
And not only can I see that and reference that, but any technician that person's coming in to see that day, um, we can, make note of that and make it a more personalized experience for
Mm,
that customer. There's one kind of funny, but not funny. I take it very seriously. One of the biggest things that I think sets our salon apart,
mhm.
and our employees and the whole customer experience is I have a very strict no tan and tell rule. So if you come into even so much that like if I know Becky and Sally are besties, but Becky came in at 10 o'clock and Sally came in at 3 o'clock. If Sally says, "Oh, is Becky here today?" We know nothing. I don't know. I don't know if Sally and Becky are having beef out,
Yeah.
I don't want to be any part of it. So we have just this very strict no tan and tell. We know nothing. We know everything, but we know nothing.
Yeah. I like that. I mean, that's good information. Learning from companies like Nordstrom, I've heard that before. My sister worked there years ago, so kind of you hear those experiences. You think of things like even like a Chick-fil-A or whatever it is. Like you see these people you interact with, where it's like my pleasure. There's all these things. You're like these little things they take away. But I've heard about that kind of customer centric thing, and there's nothing better to learn from than a company that's obviously so successful and to implement those things. Saying people's name, everybody loves to hear their name, right? That's proven. So whenever you can do that, I make sure when I go through the grocery line to say the person's name. Thanks so much, whatever, Charlie. Have a great day,
Oh,
because I want
I love
them to feel.
that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of gives people a little bit of smile. I'm sure they don't hear it much. They're sitting there doing checking it out. I've done that before back when I was a teenager, so I get it. So you want some recognition, but everybody loves to hear their name. So that's really cool. You're able to implement that and utilize that. And the notes thing is great. I mean, I think of my neighbor's an oral surgeon, so I'm thinking about like obviously this is completely different, but his cases, right? He reviews them. He knows them inside and out for the day. What I'm going to see, who I'm going to see, what the situation is. So imagine if your staff is, and they may do this in the morning. They're looking at their thing. Maybe they have 15 spray tans, and they know every single person. They've looked at those notes already because they might not have time in between to do that or look at it, keep up to date, make sure they remember all those things. So it's kind of cool to be able to refresh yourself. Like you said, I always tell myself I have a conversation with Stacy, 2 weeks I'll remember this, and then I don't. And I'm like, I should have written down the notes. So it's
It's
good.
hard,
It
especially
is
when you're
hard.
seeing like, 100, 200 people in a day. You can't remember all that. You don't want to remember all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So keeping notes on like the important stuff helps everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So on the most challenging thing being people, it's kind of a wild card, right? You never know what you're going to get. So that's very true. On the flip side of that, what's been the best moment so far in your business? I'm sure there's many more to come, but at this point, what's been the best moment in your business?
I call it the spray tan circle of life. There were women that I tanned 20 years ago for like their bachelorette or their wedding, and now their daughters are coming in for
Mm,
their prom or their sorority rush those kind of, I call it the spray tan circle of life. When you have built a rapport and a relationship that it's like multi-generational people are coming to you. You feel part
yeah.
of their family.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you're also like for yourself, you're that established, right? To be able to be around that long as a business, as a small business is kind of an anomaly, right? So you kind of got to give yourself a little pat on the back for that one.
Well, yeah, well, again, the pioneer.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I never heard that spray tan circle of life. Yeah, nobody's ever brought that up, so I'm curious if anybody else has experienced that. It'd have to be somebody that's been in the industry for at least a good number of years. So,
It is. It's rewarding. It's really nice to see, you do, you build those relationships with your customers
mhm.
that you're there for every celebration, their weddings, their babies, their just all the things. It's
Yeah,
such a happy, fun environment.
yeah. Yeah, it reminds me the lady that gave me my first haircut. Name is Beverly. I don't know what I was, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know how old I was. Anyway, my daughter went to her and we said, "We'll do it." I mean, my mom loved it. So we said, "We'll do it for her. First haircut, at least go to her." So she does like us and then my daughter, which I don't know how many years later, 35 years later, she does my daughter. It's kind of,
I love it.
yeah, she must have just been coming out of school, obviously, because she's not that old, I don't think. So,
Those
um,
are like service industry core memories.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that's probably special for her, like you're saying. It's gotta be a cool thing, and for her to still be doing it that much longer, right? Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. Definitely. So for you, Stacy, obviously a lot's changed over the years. You go from, Nordstrom, the mobile, you're doing it from your house, doing it from a room. Now you have brick and mortar. Things have changed, right? I think their goals when they're getting into, a lot of people kind of aspire to be in the situation like you are. You have employees, you have a legitimate business, you have the brick and mortar, you have all these things. So what has changed for you, on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, to be able to keep up with that? Like, what do your typical days or weeks look like now, as opposed to back in the day? Obviously, you're spraying and then you're trying to do business stuff on the side, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it's a lot of hustle and it's a lot of grind.
Yeah.
The nice part is because we do have so many systems and things in place, I only work 3 days a week now. Our salon is
Mhm.
open 5 days a week. We're closed Sunday, Monday. But I only work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Um, and I've got just an amazing team that I can back out of the business like that. So I can focus on things to grow the business or grow the brand
Mhm.
and know that they're going to have everything taken care of, running smoothly. It frees me up not only professionally, but also personally. I can think about retirement. I can think about my future. I can be there more for my daughter in all aspects of her life. Yeah, that's I think everybody wants it at some point if you're an entrepreneur or business owner. Not and I refer to it as like raising a baby.
Yeah.
Like you are devoted to that little baby, like you are your business, you're growing it, you're nurturing it, and then some point you want that baby to, be able to support itself.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with a business. You want that business to support itself.
Definitely.
So Glow Girl's getting all growed up.
That's right. And I mean, at this point, now it's like it is a business. Obviously, solopreneur, being an entrepreneur, starting your business, is nothing easy about it. But there is a point where you have a job, right? And people think, I'm going to work for myself. It's going to be so flexible. There's going to be so all this time to do X, Y, and Z. I can do whatever I want. But until you've actually walked in those shoes and you understand that, I go from working 6 hours a day for somebody else, probably because nobody works 8 hours usually. Now I'm working 12 hours a day. And if you're anything like me, which you probably are, you can't shut your brain off. You think about it all the time. You're waking up, going to sleep, so it's like a constant thing. But now to this point where you're able to, it is a business. You can step out, the business can continue to run, right? It can continue to grow without Stacy being there. That's kind of the ultimate, time where I feel where you can take a step back and say, wow, this is quite amazing and it can continue to grow. Or I could put my time somewhere else, or I can develop products, or we can look at a second location, whatever you aspire to do, right? There's that opportunity.
Yeah, it's provided me to like focus on or try um, different aspects of my business, like
Mhm.
building a product, and doing fun things related to the business. Yeah, it's very liberating. but
Yeah. So
fun, but a lot of freaking work.
it is. It kind of becomes like a game in a sense, obviously a very serious game, but it is kind of like you play your cards and you see what happens. It doesn't work, you try another hand, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that. I feel that it's kind of a fun game for nothing else. But what do you find yourself doing? So are you still spray tanning clients
Yeah,
those
so 3
days?
days a
Okay.
week, I'm in there hustling, right
Okay.
alongside the girls. I if
Awesome.
they're if I'm gonna if they if I'm gonna ask them to do things, I gotta be able to do it too,
Yeah.
and I try to keep up with them.
That's great. It reminds me of some of these larger companies. I'm thinking of Zappos. I think it was when they started out. I don't know if it's still the same. They're bought by Amazon years ago, but they would have no matter what position you were hired for. I could be hired as CEO. You start as customer support, right? You want to know the ins and outs, and you need to like to be a leader, and you should. So it's kind of that same thing, and I think it's different. This the way that you present it as you don't want to ask them to do anything you wouldn't do, which I think every owner should have that feeling, but it's easy to kind of step away from that as quick as you can because you're like, "Phew, finally I've been doing this for 15 years. Let's get out of here." But you need to be present, right? And still part of it. So I think that's an important piece.
Yeah, it still keeps you fresh because you don't want to get so like above the business that you don't appreciate and realize what the new guy's doing.
Yeah.
We're all working towards the same goal, no matter where we are on the pecking order.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, Stacy, what are you currently doing in your on your off days? I'm sure you're still working on the business, but is there anything you're focusing on? Are you like, advertising? So are you juggling, doing different stuff, or is there anything specific you're focusing on?
So one of the things I focused like for 2025, like every business owner, you're creating different goals, different
Mhm.
initiatives for yourself. And one of the things I wanted to do for 2025 was to get on different media platforms, which I hit the ground running. As soon as 2025 hit, I started writing a book. It's kind of like a professional autobiography of how Glow Girl started. Still working on that. That's a work in progress, but it's challenged me to look at the business from a different perspective. Getting on podcasts like with you, like I wanted to explore different media. I've also been selected for an entrepreneur reality show. So that's a whole different type of media. Yeah, really, it's at this stage of the game, because the business runs pretty consistently, um, it's me exploring different avenues for my business. I don't know that I necessarily want to a lot of owners think, well, I want to open another location or I want a franchise. Um, I don't know and I've had that thought in my mind,
Mhm.
because it's like a natural progression. That's where you want to go. You want to have multiple locations. But that when I started really digging into okay, what does that look like? What does that mean? It didn't sound as fun. Kudos to the people that do it, because
Right.
I don't think I'm at that stage in my life where I want to be grinding like that.
Yeah.
Um, so it's fun right now that I'm getting to explore, still in my niche, still in my business, still with the entrepreneur mindset, but there are so many options out there. There's so many ways to explore your business and build your brand. It's fun.
Yeah. It is. It's a game, right? It's a game. So
Yeah, go fish.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, so there is a lot of paths. I think and you kind of like you get to that point, and let's say you make the decision, I want to open a second location, or I want to look and explore franchising. You're kind of hitting the reset button in that entrepreneur journey of like, I got to get back to those hustle days. And some people love that and they live for that. Some people don't. I think comfort is kind of a killer in ways. I know for me, I can speak to that because it's so easy to get comfortable and, oh, it's okay. But to get that desire back to where, it was either early in the morning or late at night, and I'm trying to get people, hey, can we help you with your website? Like, hey, you want to be on this podcast? They're like, what are you talking about? This is
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, but that hustle is it's something else. But it's I think it's hard sometimes to kind of recapture that hunger. Really, that's what it is. I feel like.
Yeah, you don't want to get stagnant. You really you want to try new things. I think entrepreneurs just in general, you hustle, 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 and then you kind of okay, I'm bored. Give me the next challenge without giving me the next challenge.
Yeah. That's right. So you guys have some products.
We do.
Yes.
I have 3 simple products, it's a lotion, a face tanning mist, and a cleanser. We've started, wholesaling it on Fair.
I
Fair is
saw
a
that.
web
Yeah.
like, I love that site. I order stuff from that site. It's very small business user friendly. Um, and it's a national well, it's international actually. Yeah, it's just another way for me to get my brand out there, brand
Yeah.
recognition, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we also were chatting beforehand. You got into the certification game, so you tell a little bit about that and how that's going.
Yes. So I realized with my own training 20 something years ago and current training, like you can Google how to do a spray tan. Like
Yeah.
there's a million videos out there. And I kind of joke with the girls that I train. I'm like, I can train a monkey to do a spray tan.
Yeah.
But the back end of it is you can't teach somebody a personality. You got to
Mm,
come with your own personality, but I can fine-tune customer service things for you. And when I think back on my whole journey, the one thing that like I had to learn the hard way over and over again are all the business aspects
mm,
of spray tanning. Yes, spray tanning's fun. Yes, you can make money at it, but you really need to hone in on the things like your logo, your brand, your marketing, your networking, your taxes, your trademark, like all these business aspects that nobody wants to think about. And the course that I created, yes, you learn, we do give you a how-to video on how to do a spray tan. You get your certification in spray tanning, which is nice to have. It's not required, on a national level, but it is nice to have.
yeah.
But the whole course is very business foundation centric. The things that I felt like I was missing in the beginning, I think if you have those tools up front, it's easier to build your business. You're not just
Yeah.
fumbling through everything. Yes, you have the skill and know how to do a beautiful spray tan, but
Yeah.
you need to know on the back end how to run, be an administrator to
Yeah.
really make it work and sustain itself. And
Yeah.
that's what the course was designed for and created for.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. I always believed it was 90% business, 10% or less, probably the actual skill of the artist. And that's no knock on people that are amazing spray tan artists, but like obviously the starving artist thing, right? The best artists aren't
Yeah.
discovered, whatever. It's kind of like, and for us, for me at least, interviewing over 150 plus people, it's like you see the people that have the hunger to go get it, and they if you look at them, maybe and I don't know because I haven't seen everybody's actual spray tans, but if you look at their tan, maybe this person's is way better, but their business is much smaller because this other person was a hustler, right? It's
Right.
kind of a consistent thing. Christina that was on recently, she had 4 kids, single mom. It's like, and she's doing this and had a full-time job. It's like you gotta have you gotta have the hustle necessary. And that part of the reason for the podcast is put this in perspective for people. Yes, it's doable. It's going to require the work. We want to make sure people understand that that is what's going to be needed if you want to, make this an actual career.
Yeah, it's business 101, and so many of us and just working in the spa and salon industry, they're service providers by nature are artistic. They're a
Hmm.
little eccentric, they're artistic, but they sometimes lack that business foundation, that marketing 101. They didn't go to college to get a business degree. They don't
Hmm.
have an MBA. Um, but those things are you have to have it if you're really going to set
Yeah.
yourself apart and make money. At the end of the day, we all want to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you mentor people?
I don't.
Do
Maybe
people
I'll put
ask,
that on my
do
resume.
people ask you questions a
People
lot?
ask questions all the time.
Okay.
And I really, I'm not somebody that gatekeeps. Like I'll have people just reach out to me. I've had people come into my salon and like, I'm only here to get a spray tan because I want to see what you're doing. Like by all means, yes. The more we can all share and learn from each other, that's the way we like just elevate the industry in general because there
Mhm.
is no, people may not even know this. There's no like Department of Health or, with like spas and salons, and
Yeah.
they have to report to a cosmetology department or Department of Health or something. Spray tanning doesn't really fall into any of those categories. There's a few states that have
Yeah.
regulation, but for the most part, there's no regulation. And if there's no regulation, there's a lot of room for some weird stuff to go on.
Yeah.
So the more you can like share with people in your industry on what's a good practice, what's a good, standard, I think it just, because there's no regulation, that's the way we're going to have to like elevate and streamline the whole industry.
Yeah. And people like yourself and Kelly and all these other people that are trained. I mean, the training is, the reason for that is really comes from a place of wanting to provide people with the tools necessary to do that, right? So, I mean, the training, the business part of yours, I would assume is kind of second to none with the amount of experience that you've had, what you've been able to create. I think that's great, and people should be able to people should look into that. Especially if you're starting out, it's worth the investment. You can save how many years of Stacy's life that she spent doing this. Like you can fast forward through. Hopefully, a lot of those mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes and have challenges, but hopefully, it helps you overcome some of those things.
Yeah, yeah, nobody wants to fumble through life. And
Yeah,
that's why we get educated.
yeah,
End of the
yeah,
day. That's why we
yeah.
get an education. That's why we learn.
Definitely. So, but for the people that reach out and ask questions, what's the most common question that are they asking like technique questions or business questions or
I think because the people that come out that are like they're new, they're just getting their feet
uh,
wet. So they start asking those technique, like what equipment are you using? What product are you using? How do you do this? Which is fine, you got to start somewhere.
yeah,
Um, but again, the course is we're going to give you all those resources, but it's more of the business background. The other thing in the course that I had built into our online training course, because I've been around so long and I do
mhm,
have a rapport with, different providers, equipment, vendors,
mhm,
I was able to secure discounts that people who purchase, our course, take our course, are immediately going to get discount codes to get themselves set up for their business. So their out-of-pocket costs right out of the chute, you're already getting discounts to the top, or what I would consider some of the top vendors
yeah,
and providers in the industry.
yeah. Can't beat that. You need the resources there for sure. That
Yeah, I mean,
is
everybody hates having to do the research on their own. Here,
right.
like in the course, I'm just going to give it to you, and I'm going to give you a discount. Like,
Yeah.
get it going.
Yeah, it is interesting because in a lot of the groups, which obviously they're free Facebook groups, you probably comes with as part of the course. I'm sure there's a lot of questions people are asking for these things, and it's often like you just need to push it. They need to get invest. I think some people are, and we've all been there, right? They're kind of one foot in, one foot out. They're not sure. Is this real? Can I do this? People are gonna like my family's gonna say, "What are you doing?" Like at this point, it's a little bit more common, but still, it's still one of those things where it's like, "What are you doing? Like full time? Are you sure?" So it's kind of, but I think it's necessary. Believe in it, take that step for sure.
Yeah, it's fun, and it can be a lot of fun, and it can be very lucrative.
Yeah.
But like anything in life, you got to take the step.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. So back taking a step back kind of to your employees or your staff or your team, like what have you found to be the best way to find team? It sounds like you have an amazing core, a great group of people there helping with the Glow Girl. So what do you find is the what do you find like what's consistent across there? Like how do you look for people? How do you hire? Like some people are looking for clients, friends. We hear different things, but I think one of the most challenging things, which is people, like we said. So that's always something people ask. I'm curious what in your experience, what you've had.
So I've kind of lucked out. I have an employee that's been with me for like 8 years now or so.
Mm,
And it's really nice because the employees that I've had, like I have them for extended amount of time, like which is nice because they just build better relationships across the board. But the employee, her name's Alyssa, she's been with me for like 7, 8 years now. She just seems to have a knack for knowing how to um, pick girls to come work for us.
mm,
Um, and the more the employees that we've had and had for a long time have all been people that she's either knows or suggested or kind of took under her wing. Yeah, like me, I mean, she's my wingman. She just, I don't know I can't say that I have any kind of like, I know how to interview, like I know how to ask the right questions,
sure.
but she just has an innate ability to choose the right person for our brand. Like she's been there around long enough. She's
Mm,
grown with the business. Yeah, she's invaluable for on that aspect. You really do. In a bigger picture, when you're running a business, you also have to surround yourself with people that are better than you at certain things. You know, you have to
100%.
find those people that they're good at that. I'm going to let them take that and run because I trust what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's real. She's my gold star when it comes to finding the right talent to work at Glow Girl.
Yeah. 100%. That sounds like Alyssa sounds amazing. That's great. Everybody needs an Alyssa on their team.
She's not up for hire. She's not available.
Somebody similar. I'm sorry. No, that's great. Finding the right people is hard. So somebody that can do that. And I know this is as our business has grown, it's been more challenging. Like people that meet, like, as if you're interviewing somebody, they meet you, you kind of explain the business and all this, and they kind of see like, hey, this and that. For us, it's like a happy thing. Everybody's good. Like, we want to make sure we go above and beyond. But now when you actually try to put that to paper, like, how do you explain that as kind of the way that the brand is visualized from the outside, but how's that internally? Like, how do you make sure the next people that come in the door have that same tenacity or that same, vibe, the same centric focus and all that? I mean, they
Well,
learn, right? But it's like, how do you relay that to them? Yeah, it's a challenge for sure.
yeah, yeah, you do have to kind of like onboard them with the culture of your business.
Hmm.
I think one of the questions, and it's such a, it's a question that was always asked to me when I was interviewing. Um, there is a huge portion of our business, not only you're delivering a service, but it's sales. You've got to
Hmm.
sometimes upsell that customer to do a more expensive tan because you know it's the right one for them, or you need to suggest product. Like a lot of it is
Hmm.
sales. And one of the questions that I'll always ask in an interview that really gives me a good like vibe or feedback if this person is going to be able to hang, to keep up with what we're
Hmm.
doing, is I'll hand them just a number two pencil, and I say to them, "Hey, I'm new. I've never used a pencil before. Sell me this pencil. Why is this pencil going to change my life, make my life better? Why do I need this pencil?"
Hmm.
And and it's a pencil, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, and the people that can fumble through that with a little bit of grace and come up with unique or creative ways to sell me that pencil, those are the people that I seem to gravitate to
Yeah.
in the interview process.
Yeah.
Alyssa picks the talent, like she's just got that gift. But the pencil question always kind of weeds everything out for me.
Yeah, yeah. Unique things you can ask, like whatever, and you're like you might not be like Stacy is. You might want to ask a different question. It might just depend on your business, right? So, but you got to make sure you have some way to funnel those people through. Make sure they're the right fit, right? You don't want to waste anybody's time, theirs and yours, and money and resources, etc. So, yeah, it's definitely a process. But I think obviously the employees, the people being one of the most challenging things, something people should take some time to learn. In your course, do you cover that as well?
Higher? I don't, but I mean, that's an easy thing to create another course for
Yeah.
because when you get to that point where you're thinking you want to hire employees, oh yeah, there's some things you want to learn with that too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We'll add that in there. There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I know being customer focused, customer centric is probably your number one thing that has helped grow the business. I would assume that's just my guess. But outside of that, what do you think you as a whole, even back to when Stacy was just yourself, has done well to grow the business? Like, what has been the best ROI for you outside of being customer focused? If you had to pick one.
Best ROI. Um, I listen to various podcasts with just retail salon
Mm,
industry. And I think within the last couple years, one of the things that stood out to me was people are a little more conscious about where they put their money, where they spend their time and their resources. Um, and from a marketing or advertising level, um, I don't share my entire personal life out there, but people want to connect. And one of the ways that we're connecting now is through media. So on social media, I kind of not expose myself, but share myself a little bit more. So people have a little bit more of a personal connection to, because I am the brand, like I am the face of the brand. I've got a
Yeah.
great team that supports the brand, but at the end of the day, it's me. I mean, I'm Glow Girl.
Yeah.
Um, and
Mhm.
I that was one of the things in the last 4 or 5 years or so, that I think has gotten me a good ROI is providing that personal aspect, that we're just girls out here trying to look good, live our lives, feel good about ourselves, and sharing those kinds of things on social media, I think have really driven my business and broadened it's not just spray tan people that I'm catering to. I'm catering to just women that want to feel good about themselves.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. So the personal brand thing, which has been huge growing industry, right? It's kind of what it comes down to, right? No matter if you have a salon or you have a product or you have, I don't know if you sell books, whatever it is, right? The best people, they're on podcasts or they have podcasts, they have books, they have this, they have that, and they're sharing. And you feel, and I know this because I've been listening to podcasts, which inspired me to do it. Some of these people I've been listening to since back then. It's like you feel like you know the person. A couple of them I met, which you kind of know them, right? But you don't really know them, but you
Right,
feel
right.
like you do. You want to support them. Oh, he's coming out with this. Even if I don't really care about that, I might still buy it just to support them. That's amazing, you know. It's kind of it's an interesting thing that happens in the mind when you feel bought into it.
It is, and it's funny to me that, like, I'll be walking through the grocery store, and I'll hear behind me like, "Oh, hey, that's Glow Girl." I'm like, "No, I'm Stacy. Like, I'm a real person." But I
Yeah,
get that you see me, virtually, and you connect with the brand,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah. That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, I feel like I mean, we'll probably have a part two, Stacey. There's a lot to learn. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. You guys got a lot going on there. I mean, if before I ask the last question, what if anybody has questions, wants to find out more? Obviously, Glow without the W, glowgirltanning.com. We'll link that as well. You can look at products. You're on Fair as well, but your certification is on there. If anybody has questions, what's the best way for them to reach out directly to the Glow Girl?
Yeah, I think through the website.
Okay.
There's been times that I've shared my cell phone number out there for people. I don't know that I wanted to keep doing that.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Well,
Um,
if anybody really wants to, they'll find a way, right? We shouldn't
yeah.
even ask that question. That should be a litmus test for people, right? Because I know I've tracked people down from podcasts before.
Oh,
So
yeah.
awesome, Stacey. Well, before I ask the last question, thanks for sharing your journey and your time. It's really inspiring to hear, what you've been able to create. It's just it's always amazing to see, what people are able to do with the resources they have, and really it comes down to, and I always love stories where it's people that are kind of against the odds, or if, anybody that's really created a business probably is to some extent, but you're able to do that. You're able to hustle, single mom, working a full-time job, just doing this at 20 plus years ago, like something that people are like, what does that even mean? What is a spray tan? I don't even know what that is. To like now, if you got a brick and mortar, you're supporting other people's families and stuff like that. It's an amazing accomplishment. So congrats on what you've accomplished so far.
You. It's
Abs-
fun. At the end of the day, it's fun. I have to say, I was raised by parents that love their professions. And they really did raise me and my siblings to that, like, do what you love, and the rest of it will just figure itself out. And
yeah.
I like, it tugs at my heart that I'm now able to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great. I agree with you. I think it's probably often overlooked. I never really considered that, but I would bet if somebody does a study to find parents that like come home and can't stand their job, they're drinking a beer, whatever it is like what do the kids follow? And I know so many people that are pushed probably one way because their parents. And I'm always like, I always take a step back. I mean, I'm grateful my parents, they didn't push one way or other. I'm driving a car out to California with Mike Sholey to help him with Sholey Sunless, and it's like they're supportive of it. But how many parents would? I literally quit a corporate job to say I'm going to go out here, drive my car to California from North Carolina. Let's do
Yeah,
it. But it's like you need that support. That's awesome. So, but we only get one chance at this thing, right? So we might as well make the most of it. Yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah. So my last question, Stacey, is if you had to write a letter to yourself when you were just starting out, what would you say?
Uh, get some sleep. That's it. Period. Get some sleep, girl.
Never heard that one. That's a good one. It's hard to do once you start a business. If you haven't and you're listening to this podcast,
It is.
hopefully this gives you the resources and the the push, the nudge to go do it. It is a tireless thing, but it's great. It's really rewarding at the end of the day to look back or know that that money or that food that's going on your table, you like created that for all intents and purposes, right? So that's
Absolutely.
amazing thing, Stacey. Well, thanks so much. Again, we'll link the Glow Girl Tanning and all that so people can reach out if they have questions. Sounds like your certification course would be an amazing resource for anybody, whether they're new to the business or not. There's a lot of opportunity there for your education, even learning the customer service stuff, right? From Nordstrom, that to say their name 3 times. Those little things people don't often think about it. It adds up. It's like us telling people get reviews from day one. Those things add up. They snowball, they build up, right? And then over time you look back and you're like, where'd all these people come from?
Yeah, yeah. It's the little things.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely, Stacey. Well, thanks so much again for joining us. I hope you have a great day and happy tanning.
Thanks, Grant.